Memorial Stadium, Death Valley, South Carolina, where Clemson owns the nation's longest active home win streak. 20 straight wins here, entering today's ACC matchup against an improving Syracuse team. With Greg McElroy, I'm Dave Pasch. Tom Luganbill will join us in a bit. Well, one of the top 4 teams in the initial college football playoff rankings has lost, Texas A&M, so all of you that thought that they were crazy, have at it. Send us tweets, emails, phone calls. None of us had them in the top 4. Just want to throw that out there. Meanwhile, Clemson is number 2. Now, they have lived dangerously. They've had 5 wins by 7 points or less. Deshaun Watson, the quarterback for Clemson, is a great player. By his standards, he's been inconsistent the first 3 quarters, Greg. But in the fourth quarter, he's maybe been the best quarterback in all of college football.
Yeah, people have been critical of him, but as a quarterback, you're defined by what you do in crunch time. Look at what he did just last week in Tallahassee, on the road. 3 minutes and 23 seconds remaining, down 5. He goes 75 yards in only 5 plays, 3 for 4 along the way, capped off by hitting Jordan Leggett for a 34-yard game-winning touchdown. Put an exclamation point on it by hitting the 2-point conversion in the back of the end zone. As a quarterback, you're defined by what you do in the fourth quarter. Think Joe Montana. Think Tom Brady. That's what Deshaun Watson's been over the course of his career here at Clemson.
It's pretty high praise for Watson, who has not lost since the national championship game against Alabama. Meanwhile, for Syracuse, they haven't lost in a month. 2 straight wins and then a bye. And we talked with Dabo Swinney, the Clemson head coach, about Syracuse, and he said they're a dangerous team. And it wasn't just coach speak. We could see it in his eye. Why do you think he believes that?
It's because they're so much better defensively. Coming out of the gate, really struggled. 36 points a game given up, but the last 2, only 18.5 points per game. The numbers statistically are way down, and the defense, Brian Ward, the coordinator, feels good about the direction of that group and unit right now because the offense has always been able to score points for Syracuse because, Tom, they're led by an outstanding quarterback in Eric Dungey.
Well, they are, and of all places, out of the state of Oregon, ends up at Syracuse, and Eric Dungey comes from an option-based, run-first offense, so he's had to morph into this up-tempo, fast-paced quarterback that's going to throw it and run it. Now, he brings a riverboat mentality, gambler's mentality. You got to love that. But with all those positives comes some negatives too, because he will take risks with the football. So defensively, Clemson's going to come after him. Let's see if the young Eric Dungey can make good plays with his decision-making and with the football.
Right now, Tom, Clemson running down the hill after touching Howard's Rock. The Tigers have won 22 consecutive regular season games. They host Syracuse next. And we'll return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. ESPN. Clemson for the 7th consecutive college football playoff ranking is in the top 2. They were number 1 in the initial poll last year. Number 2 this week behind Alabama. And as we mentioned at the top of the telecast, Texas A&M has lost to Mississippi State. Washington is at Cal on ESPN tonight. Michigan and Maryland squaring off right now over on ESPN. Louisville and Auburn, 2 teams that Clemson knocked off. An easy win for the Cardinals. Auburn in front right now. Wisconsin a winner today. They're a 2-loss team, remember. And from the chute tonight on ABC, it's Nebraska and Ohio State. Deshaun Watson set to graduate in 3 years. He's not running the ball as successfully as he did last year, where he rushed for over 1,000 yards. They're trying to protect him a little bit, get his carries down. There's Dabo Swinney in his 8th year. Coach of the year last year after a 14-win season. He is 50-6 at home. And Dino Babers, the head coach at Syracuse in his first year, trying to get this program back to where it was under Dick McPherson and Paul Pasqualoni. And for the first time all season, Syracuse has won the toss. They lost the coin toss in the previous 8 games. And Greg, as you and Tom talked about, we watched him down on the field. He's a good-looking kid. Eric Dungey, 6'3", 210 pounds. He's accounted for 21 touchdowns. It's him, not Deshaun Watson, that leads the ACC in passing. Syracuse wants its high-octane offense on the field first, so they're electing to receive. Grizzly esteem is deep for Syracuse. True freshman Nolan Cooney gets us underway. And it's a short kickoff taken on the 8-yard line by Esteem. And he is wrapped up at the 22-yard line and thrown down. Nice tackle by Trey Lamar. So Eric Dungey, as Tom mentioned, all the way from Oregon. Wasn't heavily recruited out west, so he comes all the way to Central New York to play for the Orange. As mentioned, he leads the ACC in passing yards. He is 8th in the country in that category. He's 4th in the nation in total offense. And in his last game, he threw for over 430 yards in a win at Boston College.
He'll have to have the best game of his career today against a very good Clemson defense.
And Dungey on first down throws incomplete, trying to hit Irvin Phillips. Phillips has 60 catches on the year, and Amba Edatawo has 66. They're only team in college football with 2 receivers that have 60 receptions or more. Quick throw to Phillips on second down, and he's out to the 26-yard line, picking up 4. Jadar Johnson, battling a calf injury, is starting and made the hit on the play.
You can see how fast this Syracuse offense likes to go. Average a snap every 21 seconds.
They got to find a way to keep Clemson's offense on the sideline, and that means you got to convert on third down. It's a very young offensive line. 2 freshmen, 2 sophomores against some dudes on the D-line for Clemson. Dungey trying to set up the wide receiver screen, in trouble. And down he goes, sacked by Carlos Watkins.
We already talked about that young offensive line for Syracuse. Head coach Dino Babers said they're going to have their hands full today against the Clemson defensive front that is so aggressive. Tried to get a screen, nothing doing. Dungey couldn't find a window. Great start for Clemson defensively.
And Greg, that's 32 sacks now in the season. They are number 2 in the country. Syracuse has given up 22. The rugby-style punt, not good. And Clemson will start in Syracuse territory all the way at the 41-yard line. That's a 20-yard punt. Deshaun Watson, a Heisman candidate coming into the year after a 4,000 passing yard and 1,000 rushing yard campaign. He finished 3rd in the Heisman voting last year. And as a starter, he's 26-2. He's 15-0 here at home. First Clemson quarterback to beat Florida State 2 straight years. Did it on the road last week. And a first down for the Tigers on their 41. They're going to run Wayne Gallman here. And he is hit forward to the 36-yard line, so he gets 5 yards on the play. Talked about the win last week against Florida State. Watson with 4 300-yard games so far this season.
This Clemson offense has gotten off to a very fast start over the course of the last 8 games, outscoring opponents 86-6 in the first quarter.
Looks like a design quarterback run, and Watson picked up and dropped by Zaire Franklin, the middle linebacker for Syracuse. It's a big third down here for the Syracuse defense.
Syracuse not tremendously athletic, very young on defense. A stop here could give them a lot of confidence.
Watson to the air on third down, and he's in trouble. Able to hit a receiver, Short of the marker, though, Mike Williams, their #1 target, 47th catch on the year, but Corey Winfield brings him down short of the marker. Clemson will go for it.
Yeah, I think that's the right decision here. You have momentum. Defense just forced a 3 and out. You're already in plus territory. You're on the fringe of field goal range. Keep the ball in the hands of one of the best players in college football, Deshaun Watson.
You talked about Syracuse's improved defense, already facing a test here on the opening drive on 4th down. They're going to run it, and Gallman keeps the feet moving and gets the first down to the 30-yard line.
Great push there from Wayne Gallman. Maybe not there initially. Kept the legs moving. Picked up the first down.
Now C.J. Fuller is in the game at running back. From the Syracuse 30, they bring pressure off the edge. They swing it out to Hunter Renfro. And when Renfro able to break a tackle, keep his balance, and pick up another first down. He's a guy that doesn't have a ton of numbers on the year. That's just his 16th catch, but he always seems to make those kinds of plays.
He just has a knack for getting yardage. Very reliable. And a better athlete than a lot of people would give him credit.
They're going to run the ball on first down. A big hole and a broken tackle as C.J. Fuller gets another Clemson first down. So the Tigers inside the 10 on their opening possession, which again started at the Syracuse 42 because of a poor punt.
Clemson getting some good yardage on the ground early. When they're balanced, they're remarkably tough to slow down.
Here's Gallman on first and goal at the 9. Nice open field tackle at the 8-yard line. Jonathan Thomas made the stick.
This is down in the area, guys, where number 16, Jordan Leggett, the tight end. Watch how they move him around, where they place him. And if he's in the backfield, we're going to look at this all day. If he's in the backfield or he's behind the tackle, you're going to have likely a run play, but now you're going to see him in motion. You're going to see a lot of this today. See if they run and you can see the ball goes where he goes.
They're going to run behind him here. Gallman dropped at the 5-yard line, so he gets a couple of yards. Well defended there. Davon Ellison, the strong safety, made the stop on Gallman. So it's 3rd and goal for Clemson.
And defensively, Syracuse, they've struggled in the open field, but in the red zone, they've been pretty good. Now on 3rd down, getting a mass substitution. Let's see if they bring a little pressure on Deshaun Watson here.
Syracuse had 12 men on the field there for a moment. Watson to throw. Fires end zone. Incomplete, as Williams could not pull it in. He was out of bounds. Scoop Bradshaw in coverage. That's a big stop for Syracuse, considering Clemson started on the plus 42. Yeah, he looked like he stepped on the back line to begin with and clearly did not possess the football either.
Drop passes have plagued this Clemson offense throughout the course of the season. Last few weeks, they've been a little bit better. Williams is very sure-handed. He's got to bring that in. Throw was a little behind. When you're a big body wide receiver, those are throws that you've got to catch.
Greg Hugel hit a big 46-yarder last week against Florida State. And he puts this one through from 23 yards out. And Clemson is on the board first here at home. For the first time in 23 years, Clemson with 5 wins by 7 points or less. They beat Louisville by 6 against NC State. Now, they probably should have lost that one. A 33-yard field goal missed at the end of regulation. Clemson wins in overtime. An interception in the end zone to seal the deal in the extra session. Then last week at Florida State, Jordan Leggett, the go-ahead touchdown. Plus, you had a game against Troy where Clemson won by just 6 points, although Troy hasn't lost since. As the Tigers kick off here, Esteen will bring it out from 2 yards deep. Esteen finds a running lane at the 30-yard line, all the way to the 38. Guys, there's been a lot of discussion about those close games. So my question is that a cause for concern, or should they be praised for winning the close games against good teams?
To me, it's praise. Absolutely. Have they clicked on all cylinders, offensively and defensively, this year? Every game? No. But Clemson, because of their recent success, gets every opponent's best shot. So they're having to counterpunch Tom a lot because they see so many different tendency breakers over the course of the season.
No question. And listen, you got to have a healthy respect for how hard it is to win. And dealing with success is every bit as difficult as dealing with failure.
Syracuse from the 39. Dungy's pass is batted down, incomplete. Christian Wilkins is so good. This guy is a defensive tackle playing end, and he can do it because he's such an athlete. This is a 310-pounder getting off the floor here to bat it down.
He's so dynamic. One of my favorite players in college football to watch.
Dungy to the air again on second down, steps up, looks to run, and there's just so much closing speed for Clemson. He does get about 4 or 5 before he's greeted by Cleland Farrell. And Syracuse faced with another third down. 3rd and 7 here.
Don't like to press the panic button early, but Syracuse all year has done a really good job in the first quarter. Now they could possibly have another 3 and out.
Dungy has time. Sideline pass. That's a terrific grab by Amba Edetawo. 67th catch. He leads the ACC in that category.
Make sure he got the foot down in bounds. To me, it looks like that right heel is on the line.
Timeout, Clemson.
Well, they call the timeout, I'm assuming, to challenge the ruling on the field. Now, maybe, I'm
Full
assuming
timeout.
the official thought that the left foot was down first inbound before the right foot stepped out of bounds. We'll look at it during break. 3-0 Clemson early on.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Wendy's, always fresh, never frozen beef.
Back at Clemson, where it is a catch. In fact, the Tigers called a timeout. They were not challenging the play. They called a timeout because a defender lost his shoe.
The previous play is under further review. The ruling on the field is a catch inbound.
Well, we were just being told that the replay people were talking with our guys in the truck. Now it's announced by David Epperly, the referee, that they're reviewing it. They just showed, our truck did, the replay official, Tom DeJoseph, all angles from the truck, and now they come out and make the announcement. And the replay booth told our truck that the play was going to stand, that the left foot was in bounds before the right foot touched out of bounds. And again, Clemson was not challenging it. There was a defender who lost their shoe, and they were not going to be able to get lined up.
What they're looking at is if Edetawo's right foot touches out of bounds before he catches the football, it could result in illegal touching. So I think that's what they're looking at.
After further review, the ruling on the field stands.
And again, that's what we were told a few minutes ago. And they're telling us the receiver was pushed out, that he was out actually, but he was forced out. And so when you're forced out by the defender, you can be the first to come back and touch the football. If you go out on your own, then you can't.
Good call by the officials, making sure they took a look at every angle.
That was big for Syracuse, just to get a first down. Here's a pitch to Strickland, who is able to keep his feet. There's a flag down, now 2 flags down, as Mo Neal is the ball carrier, and he gets maybe a yard to the 48-yard line. But again, there were 2 penalty flags down.
Illegal block in the back. Offense, number 8. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Steve Ishmael, the wide receiver, trying to block for Mo Neal.
Syracuse does some things a little bit differently. Play with a ton of tempo, but the way they communicate is really interesting. The running back is actually the position that communicates with the offensive line as opposed to the quarterback.
Have you ever seen that before?
I haven't. But it's unique because it allows the quarterback to survey what the defense is doing. And you can see Mo Neal coming up to the line of scrimmage and telling the offensive line what the play is.
The play clock was down to 1. Let's see if Dino Babers called a timeout before delay of game.
I'll say this, fellas. This crowd is an educated crowd, and they know that when Eric Dungey or the running back starts walking up to the line of scrimmage to talk, they crank it up, and it gets serious.
Play game, offense, 5-yard penalty, first down.
In relationship to the noise that this stadium produces, and they know how to do it and just at the right time, causing some communication problems for Syracuse.
And after Syracuse gets the first down, now they go back 15 yards because of consecutive penalties. Dungey has to run, and he's dropped at the 36. Got back to the line of scrimmage. Kendall Joseph made the hit, 2nd and long.
That communication is so difficult in an environment like this. Hostile. You have to use a lot of nonverbal communication. Going up and yelling as loud as you can into the ear hole of the offensive lineman.
Dungey with a deep set. It's a screen pass to Strickland. Gets a chunk of it back to the 45, so a little bit more manageable third down. They still have to get to the 39 of Clemson. And they snap it quickly. And the toss out in the flat to Phillips. Did he stay in bounds along the sideline? They're going to say he stepped out at the 48, so he's 9 yards short. It's 4th down. I'm surprised the offense is still on the field here on 4th down and almost 10.
Not even thinking about it.
You're at midfield. You turn it over, you're giving Clemson the ball at midfield. Dungey off of pump fake throws, and they're going to be short of the first down. The catch was made by Phillips. Tankersley with an excellent tackle. I think some of the players thought that it was 3rd down. They just went to the line of scrimmage to snap the ball again. That's a colossal mistake.
This crowd is fired up for the number 2 ranked Clemson Tigers. They lead early.
Number 11 Florida at Arkansas. Gators' first possession. Luke Del Rio picked off by Santos Ramirez, and he takes off 24 yards for the pick six. His 4th this season, tied for most in the FBS. Arkansas up 7-0.
All right, Cassidy, it's 3-0 here. Clemson in front. Guys, Syracuse, I know Dino Babers told us, hey, we got to be David and Goliath. We got to hit that stone in the right spot with our sling, and we don't have a shot this week, but you got to be smart, too, going for it on 4th down and 9. And they didn't even throw a pass to the sticks. As Deshaun Watson in trouble, a flag down. Watson rolling out. And now throws it away. You guys agree with me on that?
I do, but this is a Syracuse team that makes a living going for it on 4th down. 17 4th down attempts coming into today. It's 26th in the nation.
Holding, offense, number 75, 10-yard penalty, first down.
How about you, Luke?
Well, I think my concern would be you got trips into the boundary, so you have condensed real estate. You don't have a lot of windows, and to Dave's point, you don't run anybody to the sticks to give you a chance to get the first down. So I understand from a field position standpoint, you take the risk there, you're on the road. I just don't like the call they went with if you're going to make that choice.
But a penalty on Clemson, and now a wide receiver screen here, and Deion Kane in trouble, reversing field. He's back at the 10, trying to get outside, and he'll make it to the 20, but he'll lose 11. Good pursuit by Corey Winfield, not giving up on the play. And so it brings up 3rd down and second down rather, and more than 30.
As a quarterback, sometimes you shake your head. I know your receivers want to make plays, but you have to be smart and know where you're at on the field.
So they're back now near their 20, and they'll hand it off to Gallman straight ahead. And he's up to the 27-yard line. Ellison and Franklin there, so 3rd and long here for Clemson.
Clemson just got to be smart with the football here. You have all the momentum. Defense is playing well early. Expect just a quarterback draw.
And shift the field position with a punt.
No question, Tom.
Syracuse with 3 men deep near the sticks at midfield. Watson from the pocket. A receiver comes open, but Williams goes down short of the first down. At the 46-yard line, it's 4th down and 5, and Clemson might go for it again.
The way their defense is playing, I'd love to play the field position game.
Absolutely.
It's a great throw right there from Deshaun Watson. Drop 8. Not many windows there defensively to throw through. He just made a big play, though, for his defense more so than for his offense.
You wonder if Williams had kept his feet, he might have been able to pick up the first down. So Grizzly esteemed as a dangerous punt returner. Number 1 in the ACC is deep, and it's a short kick. No fair catch signal. Boy, that's a gutsy play there in traffic to not signal for the fair catch, and he was able to pick up 5 or 6 yards. Coming up tonight on ABC. We were in Columbus last week. Ohio State struggled with Northwestern. Meanwhile, Nebraska played better than a lot of people thought in Madison. Is this going to be a tough game for the Buckeyes at home?
Nebraska, I think they learned a lot about themselves last week. Difficult environment, playing against a great team. Came away just short. They're going to have some confidence going to Columbus tonight. When is Ohio State? When's the light going to go on? So talented. The execution just hasn't been there. I wonder if they get going tonight.
I don't know if it's going to be that kind of year. They may have to grind out games. Dungy's pass is intercepted. Picked off by Ryan Carter for Clemson. He takes it back inside the 20. I don't know if Dungy never saw him or what, but he threw it right to Ryan Carter.
Just trying to hit an RPO. Ends up throwing it right into the chest of Carter. Brent Venables had a great play call on there. The slant to the top, having the guy underneath. That's the easiest interception Ryan Carter will ever have.
They lead the conference in interceptions with 13. That's the first on the year for Carter. And now Clemson running the ball to C.J. Fuller. He's inside the 10 and pushed out at the 5, close to the first down. Fuller has only carried it 23 times coming into the year. They wanted to take some of the rushing load off of Watson and Gallman here in this game.
They are deep at running back. Obviously, Gallman is the bell cow, but they can go 5 deep at that position with relative ease.
On 1st and goal, they're going to hand it off again to Fuller, and he's down to the 2-yard line. Well, Clemson was just down here and was unable to score a touchdown, had to settle for 3. But the Tigers have just dominated the first quarter this year. They're outscoring teams 89-6 in the first quarter.
They're just going to continue to pound the line of scrimmage. Right now, Syracuse having a hard time holding up against a bigger Clemson offensive line.
Watson going to keep. Watson going to score. Touchdown, Clemson. Rushing touchdowns last year for Deshaun Watson. That's number 2 this season. And so it's 10-0 Clemson as they take advantage of the interception and get in the end zone for the first time.
A lot of momentum coming off that win at Florida State. Carter with the pick. Deshaun Watson to pay dirt. Touchdown Tigers.
Washington wins this week. It's safe to say they'll be in the top 4 the college football playoff rankings with A&M losing. And it won't be easy, though. Cal at home. Jake Browning has been pretty good. Leads the Huskies on an 11-game win streak coming into tonight. Taco Bell is a proud partner of the college football playoff. Be on the lookout for Taco Bell student sections and passionate fans like these at games all season long. First trip, Mr. McElroy to Clemson. What do you think, man?
Man, I'll tell you what. I've wanted to get here. This has been a bucket list stadium for me to get to. It has not disappointed. Their team's given them a lot to cheer about in the early going, though.
Musteen thought about taking a knee. Instead, he runs it out, and he gets planted at the 10-yard line. Tanner Muse with a big hit, and Syracuse is backed up inside its 10.
One of the most important plays in football when you're on the road is the kick return. You got to steal some momentum. Clemson said, no, sir. Muse, look at that. I can't say I've made a lot of hits like that, but I've absorbed a few. Steam's going to be feeling that one for a couple plays.
Well, everything is going wrong right now for the road team as Steam able to get free and pick up a first down. Tankersley spins him down, but that'll move the sticks for the Orange as Steam has caught 31 balls on the year coming in. Dungy will spread it around to really 4 guys: Editawo, Phillips, Esteem, and Steve Ishmael. On the 23, going to hand it off. And a big hit there on Dungy, the quarterback, and he's not moving right now. Wow, big shot. Now he's moving. It was Boulware who hit the quarterback, Dungy. He's trying to get up but can't.
He took a hit between 2 defenders.
Ooh, and that looked like to the head or neck area.
Boulware on the inside.
Boy, I don't know. It was not ruled targeting on the field. The Game Day Operations Center can get together with a game official here and change that. It just looked, though, like he was hit on one side, and then Boulware coming from the other side, along with O'Daniel. And O'Daniel came in high. Forcible contact, but did it start in the shoulder or the head or neck area? What do you think, Greg?
I don't think this is going to be targeting. I understand the launch with the crown of the helmet. That's been a point of emphasis. The first contact was to the shoulder, and Eric Dungy there, even though he's a quarterback, is not a defenseless player. Really disappointed to see him down on the ground. He's so important to this team.
I tell you guys, just standing here on the sideline, and I'm right in front of where this happened, and watching that hit, he got rocked. And when I say rocked, you could tell before he hit the ground something wasn't right. And quickly he tried, as you guys saw, it was interesting, he kept trying to lift his head off the ground, wasn't able to do it. But again, the quarterback, as you referenced, Greg, not considered a defenseless player.
Not when he becomes a runner.
Correct.
Like Dungy just did.
Well, he's definitely woozy as he gets help to the Syracuse sideline. His backup is Zach Mahoney. Now, 2 years ago, Mahoney played against Clemson and ran for 2 touchdowns in that game. It was a game that Syracuse was in for a while or at home rather, last year. 2 years ago, Syracuse led here at Clemson at halftime, ended up losing the game. You saw the numbers for Mahoney.
Mahoney has played. Hasn't played a lot in Dino Babers' offense, though.
Actually, they're going to put Austin Wilson in the game instead. Mahoney is the backup, but they're going to go with Wilson right now, as Strickland can't get back to the line of scrimmage, maybe a half yard. But instead of Mahoney, they go with Wilson, who's a 6'3", 220-pound junior.
Big boy. Looks the part. He throws a nice ball based on watching him in the pregame.
See if Clemson comes after him here on 3rd down and 3. 2.5 to go in the first quarter. It's been all Clemson. They just turned an interception thrown by Dungy into a touchdown. Wilson looks, and the pass on target for a first down to the 35. Boulware suplexes Strickland, but he didn't like it. He felt that was after the whistle. Here comes a penalty flag. Boulware will hit anybody, anytime, and case in point was right there. It was clear that forward progress was stopped. We couldn't hear if the whistle blew or not.
Personal foul. Defense, number 10, 15-yard penalty, first down.
Boulware is an emotional player, and clearly forward progress had stopped. No place for that. I appreciate the officials making sure it was called. Just slamming him to the ground.
So on Austin Wilson's first pass of the season, he throws a completion, then he gets a penalty that puts the ball on the 49 of Clemson. Ante Strickland, who was thrown to the ground, stays in the game, and it gets so loud in here that Syracuse has to call a timeout.
Play clock was getting very low. It was wise by Wilson to recognize it and not fall victim to another delay of game penalty.
Hey, Greg, that's what I meant by this crowd. I mean, it's almost like they smell blood in the water. The moment something gets delayed at the line of scrimmage, they are absolutely cranking things up, and you cannot communicate. It is so loud down here. And just a few moments ago, guys, Eric Dungey getting taken to the locker room. I'll try and get a report on him and his status.
All right, Tom, just to get people caught up here, if you're just tuning in, Clemson, number 2 in the country according to the initial college football playoff ranking, 8-0 in the season, 5-0 in the ACC. Eric Dungey, the quarterback for Syracuse. This was not ruled targeting because of the contact to the shoulder, and that he was not a defenseless player in that situation. So it was a legal hit, but the Boulware play was not legal, and that's why the ball is at midfield. 1st and 10. The new quarterback, Austin Wilson for Syracuse. He just threw his first pass of the year. And he tried to throw a pop pass over the middle. It was knocked down and complete. Dexter Lawrence, outstanding true freshman defensive tackle, got his hands up.
Syracuse will do some tricks now. You watch them against Virginia Tech in particular. Their best win of the season. Had some double passes, had some halfback passes.
Timeout, Clemson.
So Clemson called a timeout before the snap there. We're trying to get that clarified. That sounds like what the official said. 1 timeout remaining for Clemson. Now, Greg, this is not unusual. Clemson has been destroying teams in the first quarter. Teams have adjusted to Clemson and have been able to come back in games. What does Syracuse have to do without maybe its best player in Eric Dungey?
They have to pick up some first downs. Right now, their defense has had no answer for Clemson, both through the air and on the ground. So they have to pick up some first downs, give that defense some much-needed rest, and try to generate some confidence for the offense, who's playing, Tom, with a backup quarterback.
Well, they are, guys. Eric Dungey, Syracuse sideline will not be giving any reports on the status of Dungey, whether he will return or not.
Well, they caught a break there. The timeout did happen before the first down throw, so they run Strickland. He gets a yard, though. So hard to run against that front 4 for Clemson. 2nd and 9 for Syracuse.
The Clemson defense is just tenacious. I don't know what other word to use. They're everywhere. They're big, they're fast, they're strong. More than anything, though, they're mean.
Wilson off play action. Editawo comes free to the 31-yard line. A guy that is becoming a Biletnikoff Award candidate. He's caught more balls this year than he did his entire career at Maryland. He's a grad transfer. A throw out in the flat to Irvin Phillips. There's a penalty marker down. Phillips out of bounds at the 24. Hard to tell if that was a run play or a pass. Looked like maybe that pass was behind the line of scrimmage, but it may not matter.
Illegal formation. Offense, 5 players lined up in the backfield. 5-yard penalty. First down.
This offense, with the pace they play, trying to snap the ball as soon as humanly possible. I know you have a backup quarterback in the game in Austin Wilson, but he's got to check to the outside to make sure his receivers are set and in the correct position, because you can't, after a positive play, take a 5-yard loss on a pre-snap penalty.
Syracuse going into the shade from the sun. Another penalty flag.
False start. Offense, number 90. 5-yard penalty, first down.
That's on Connor McPherson, the tight end. Another penalty marker on the orange. That puts them back at the 40. Every time they get something going, momentum is stalled because of penalties. And again, you got a backup quarterback in there who hasn't played, Austin Wilson. And he's on the road at Clemson for his first action as a passer.
Welcome to college football.
On 1st and 20, Wilson to throw. And that pass off target intended for Steve Ishmael on the sideline.
Greg, I don't really think this has to do with the backup quarterback. They've had Clemson where they want them. The last 2 snaps when they had the penalties, Clemson wasn't even lined up. They're ready to snap the ball. I think it's the people around the quarterback that got to have a sense of urgency, get lined up, snap the ball, because these are going to be the few advantages you're going to have.
2nd and 20. Here's a blitz, and they dump it off to Strickland, and he is dropped. Ben Boulware makes the play for another setback. A 2-yard loss for Syracuse.
Boulware is just everywhere. Great feel for the game, anticipates plays, and closes.
He's Animal from the Muppets, Greg.
He can really run. Outstanding linebacker for the Clemson Tigers.
And Syracuse will not snap it here before the end of the quarter. They've got a 3rd down and long coming up when we return, but it's all Clemson after 1. 10-0 Tigers. We will return after this message and a word from our ABC stations. 12th year sponsoring the Good Hands Field Goal Nets. Allstate makes contributions to participating universities' general scholarship funds for each field goal and extra point kick. To date, Allstate has contributed millions in scholarship funds. So Austin Wilson, who started 2 games 2 years ago, played in only 2 last year, thrown 58 career passes coming into this season. His first action of 2016. And he's got a 3rd and 22 he's got to come up with. And he throws it away. Even if they would have got 8 or 10 yards, it would have given the field goal kicker a chance. But because of that, now you're in 4th and 22. And they're going to punt it.
Went for it on 4th and 9 a second ago, and that punt team held on the sideline for a little while. Can't imagine they would go for it, obviously, on 4th and 22.
Artavis Scott is deep for Clemson. Sterling Hoffrichter, redshirt freshman punter. This will bounce at the 8, and Syracuse will down it at the 4-yard line. It's an excellent job by Hoffrichter getting that up in the air, allowing his gunners to get down there and down the football. What is wrong with Russell Wilson? No touchdown passes in the last 3 games. Will he bounce back against Buffalo on Monday Night Football? Our coverage starts with Monday Night Countdown at 6. Kickoff around 8:15 Eastern on ESPN and also streaming live on Watch ESPN. Meanwhile, the guy that will most certainly be in the NFL probably next year, Deshaun Watson, in at quarterback for Clemson. First down on the Tiger 5-yard line, and they're going to run Goldman. He's got a running lane, untouched till he gets to the 20, breaks a tackle, and finally thrown out of bounds at the 35 after a 30-yard run.
That's the way you do it when you're backed up. You rely on your offensive line and your very underrated tailback. Great run and a great hole provided by the big guys up front.
Watson to throw here on first down. Going to take a shot. The receiver's there. It's caught by Kane to the end zone. Touchdown, Clemson. How about 52 career catches, 12 have gone for touchdowns. Almost 1 out of every 4 catches goes to a score. How about a 2-play 95-yard drive that took 31 seconds off the clock, but a horrible kick by Hugel, and the extra point is no good.
So much for bad field position. Deshaun Watson says, my man Dion, make a play for me. Tigers rolling early.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Coca-Cola. Taste the feeling. And Infiniti, empower the drive.
Well, when the football team's struggling, what do? Show the announcers who went to Syracuse. Something good to talk about there with Costas and Marv and Tarico, Ian Eagle, Sean, of course. John Wildhack, big part of ESPN for a long time, now the athletic director at Syracuse. Sean Riley on the return. He's out to the 25-yard line as we look at today's Good Hands play, brought to you by Allstate.
This is trust between a quarterback and a wide receiver. Deshaun Watson gets the snap. He holds his eyes down the middle of the field. Look at the relationship between the defensive back and Dion Kane. He hasn't won at this point, but Deshaun knows he's going to. He anticipates the throw and puts it right on the money. Absolutely nothing Christopher Frederick, the corner, could do. He just got beat over the top by one heck of a throw by Deshaun Watson.
Here's Neal running the ball across the 30 for about 6. So that's the third pass play of 50 yards or more by Deshaun Watson. It went for 65. That's the longest scoring play of the year offensively for the Tigers. Again, that drive started on their 5 and it lasted 30 seconds and they were in the end zone. Neal on second down comes up short, so it'll be third down with Ben Boulware making the stop.
Clemson has just been so good this year in crunch time. He's had some good starts, but second and third quarter haven't been as good. Doesn't look to be the case so far today.
Phillips gets the first down out in space. Pushed out of bounds by Van Smith, but that'll move the sticks for Syracuse. And they've done this a couple times. They get a first down, but then they get penalties and stall the drive. And again, Austin Wilson is in, listed as the third string quarterback, but Eric Dungy's hurt. That pass over the outstretched arms of Amba Edetawo. Edetawo, he's a guy that you mentioned that he went to Maryland as a grad transfer, but he's got ties to Clemson. In fact, he used to go to games here when he was younger. His brother, Edetawo, played at Clemson. He was a defensive lineman until Etta was diagnosed with a heart condition and ended up getting into coaching. Here's Mike Neal on 2nd and 10, picking up about 3. Wrestled to the ground by Dexter Lawrence, so third down and 7. And there's Edetawo, D lineman for Clemson a decade ago. And again, the younger brother Amba would go to the games. He's from Powder Springs, Georgia.
Imagine Etta is rooting hard for Clemson, but wants to see his brother succeed. I can promise you that.
Third down and 7. Pressure off the edge from Boulware. And that's a pass. I'm not sure what happened, if it hit the offensive lineman, Cody Conway, or what. But it's 4th down and 7. And Dino Babers thinking about it. And he's going to send the punt team up. There's a penalty marker down.
Intentional grounding. Offense number 5. Loss of down that spotted the foul. 4th down.
So the officials determined he was just throwing that one into the ground. Didn't get back to the line of scrimmage, and nobody was around him. So
good call. Obviously didn't cross the line of scrimmage and did hit number 60, Cody Conway, in the hand. It is clear that he was not trying to throw that to an intended receiver.
Artavis Scott is deep. Another punt coming up for Syracuse. And they almost got it blocked. but it's a booming kick. Scott under it, fair caught as he takes a seat at the 11-yard line. Chad Smith almost blocked that punt. Deshaun Watson back on the field when we come back. Full day of college football. Don't miss SportsCenter at night with Bucci and Connors. All the gridiron highlights, as well as NBA, NHL, NFL news, and of course all the college football. But that's after Washington Cal. The Huskies left out of the top 4 in the initial rankings for the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. But everybody's got to calm down. It's just the first one based on the games played so far. Obviously it's going to change 100 times. First down on the 11-yard line. And they're going to run the ball to the left side. Feaster to the 15-yard line. There's a penalty flag in the backfield. You mentioned it that Clemson's got 5 running backs that they'll use, and that's number 5, Feaster.
He's a talented young back. Has a very, very bright future here.
Holding. Offense. Number 3. 10-yard penalty. First down.
Hey guys, if you take a look at where I'm standing, this is one of the few stadiums in college football that actually sits east to west. So the sun, as you're standing back, if you're the quarterback, you're looking in, and you're taking a look at that throw that Deshaun Watson made, he probably never saw the ball drop out of the sun. Now this works conversely the other way too. If you're on offense and you're coming towards the closed end, your receivers are turning back and they're looking into an awful lot of sunlight directly in their face.
Watson from his end zone, going to throw it deep again. A beautiful toss, but it's dropped by Mike Williams. You got to come up with that if you're Mike Williams, number 1 receiver, and that's why Dabo Sweeney was shaking his head.
Tom says you might not be able to see going in that direction. Watson has 2 attempts that were right on the money, so if he is blind out there, my goodness, he's putting it right where it needs to be. Mike Williams, though, obviously missed all of last year with the injury. He's dropped way too many passes this year. He's got to be more consistent down the stretch.
Watson keeping it, upended short of the marker at the 19. That was the neck injury in the first game of the season last year for Mike Williams. But in our conversation with Dabo Sweeney yesterday, he said, first couple games we had 9 drops, and it's been a problem all year. At some point, it's going to come back to bite us. We've been able to survive against Florida State and Louisville, making mistakes like that. We've had way too many turnovers. They had 12 turnovers in the last 4 games. They're -1 coming into today overall in the turnover game, and they haven't lost yet. Out in space, it's Scott getting the first down to the 27-yard line.
That's part of the reason, though, why this Clemson team is so incredibly dangerous. They're 9-1 over the last 10 games when they've actually lost the turnover battle. When they quit making mistakes, they can beat anybody in the country. 9-1 when losing the turnover battle. That is so incredibly rare, but it's a testament to the toughness of this football team.
As we just showed you, they can beat anybody in the country when losing the turnover battle, basically.
Yeah.
Feaster picks up about 4 to the 31. And you look at the remaining schedule for Clemson. They've got Pitt here next week, then they go to Wake Forest. They have South Carolina at home, and then assuming that they win the Atlantic Division, either Virginia Tech or North Carolina at this rate in the ACC championship game. And Carolina played them close in that game a year ago. Great defensive play back at the 22-yard line. Zaire Franklin dragging down Artavis Scott to force a 3rd down and long. So a loss of 9 on the play. So again, 2 of the 3 remaining games are home before the ACC championship game. Do you feel that Clemson should be number 2? Is that the right spot for them? Or is Michigan better than Clemson right now?
Clemson should be number 2. I don't even understand how you can make an argument for Michigan. Look at their strength of schedule against Clemson's strength of schedule.
Watson, an incredible throw on 3rd and 12 to Deion Kane. Man, is he good. That was right on the money. 23 yards.
Back to Clemson. They've beaten some really good football teams. Has it always been pretty? No, but win at Auburn, win at Florida State. You beat Troy. It wasn't pretty, but now look at Troy. They've only lost 1 game, and that was to these guys.
Quick toss. Scott to the 44. And what did Dabo tell us yesterday? He said when they walked off the field after the Auburn game, he said that's a good team. And they played much better. They're in the top 10 this week. Obviously, we know about Louisville and Florida State. And NC State was playing really well. It just come off a win against Notre Dame in a hurricane and missed a field goal to force overtime where Clemson won the game. Watson keeping it again and getting a first down to the 41.
People right now are measuring Clemson off of last year and measuring their offensive production off the national championship game. People are asking, what's wrong with Deshaun Watson? His numbers aren't anywhere what they were last year. That's not actually true. He's been very good in the passing game and continues to be today.
Big hole for Feaster as he dives to the 26. But don't you think Watson has made more mistakes this year than he made last year? And look, the rushing numbers aren't there. He might still get to 4,000 passing yards, but the turnovers he didn't have. No, he had 13 picks last year, so it's not like he didn't turn the ball over.
In 15 games, too. So the interceptions are a little alarming, but you can't put that all on him. It's a point of emphasis for him moving forward, too.
Feaster, as Clemson is just blowing Syracuse off the ball right now, down to the 20-yard line. And again, last year, one of the greatest seasons we've ever seen. The first guy to go 4,000 passing yards and 1,000 rushing yards. He accounts for 47 touchdowns, and he finishes third. And Derrick Henry won the Heisman voting. I thought it should have been Watson or McCaffrey winning the award last year, especially because as there's an injured Syracuse player down.
Watson is just so good. We can see the physical ability, but it's all the intangibles that come with it. He wears that burden. Coming into the season, according to ESPN, according to experts everywhere, best player in college football. Standard that he's set has been so incredibly high that people will just try to pick flaws here and there. But Tom, his ability to throw the football and occasionally, when the team needs it, put the team on his back is unmatched when it comes to any other quarterback in college football.
It's simply sensational. His competitive temperament, his mental toughness, and I think maybe his most undervalued and most important trait that he has, it's an innate ability to forget a negative play and move past it. If you watch their drives and his throws after an interception, they're sensational production.
Watson keeping it here and pushed out of bounds inside the 15, and he gets into it with Zaire Franklin after the fact. But no penalty flags. To Tom's point, and Greg, obviously you played in the NFL, but if you talk with coaches and scouts in the NFL, they'll tell you one of the things they look for is how does a guy handle adversity? When you make a big mistake, does it hang around for a while and affect you?
Not with this guy.
Didn't look like much there. I think good thing not to throw the flag as Watson throws for a touchdown to Mike Williams. He hung on to that ball. Another strike by Deshaun Watson.
Think I'm not having as good a season this year, says Deshaun Watson. How's 10 of 12 for 133 yards and a couple touchdowns. Look.
And it's 23-0 Clemson.
Watson delivers a strike to his big body wide receiver. Great catch by Williams. Watson says, I've done that before. Deshaun Watson has been unstoppable. 3rd and 12, no problem. I'll just hit the post over the middle for a first down. Then you get in the red zone. Look at the anticipation. Mike Williams setting up the defender, Deshaun Watson throwing a perfect strike to extend the lead. He's been on fire today. One of those 2 incompletions, by the way, a drop. The other, a throwaway. How about the start for Deshaun Watson?
Let's give his offensive line some props, too. They're doing a great job protecting him, getting some easy passing lanes for Watson to throw. Man, they continue to have trouble as Riley is free down the sideline into Clemson territory and finally tracked down at the 23. We'll see if that turns things around for Syracuse, but again, they're without their starting quarterback, Eric Dungey, in the first quarter, hit by 2 Clemson players, part of a sandwich that sent him to the locker room, and now he's in street clothes. And Austin Wilson, junior quarterback, who's listed as 3rd string, played in a handful of games, but none this year, is in for Dungey, who obviously is done for the day.
Almost impossible circumstance for Austin Wilson to play in hostile environment, one of the best teams in the country. Tough on this young man.
Dante Strickland to the 29-yard line. A sophomore, averages less than 4 yards per carry. That's been part of the problem with Syracuse's run game. When your starting tailback is under 4 yards per carry, it's hard to get that passing game going for Dungey, but a lot of it is the offensive line. Very young group up front. On 2nd and 7, it's a play fake. Wilson throws, and it's intercepted by Tankersley. First interception of the year for Tankersley. The 14th by the Tigers on the season.
Just a simple cover 2 zone. Tankersley reads the eyes of the quarterback, drops right back underneath the intended wide receiver at Otawo, and makes an easy interception to give Clemson another fresh set of downs.
Watson going to keep it again. He gets leveled by Zaire Franklin at the point of attack. Maybe a yard on the play.
This Clemson team, this is as good as I've seen them look this year. They've had moments when they are operating on all cylinders, but today their defense, their offense would like their kickoff team to be a little better. But this is what you've come to expect from Dabo Swinney's team.
Watson's pass on target to Leggett. Well, when you couple that with the way Syracuse have been playing coming in, I understand what you're saying. I mean, Syracuse have been playing good football, beat Virginia Tech, won at BC, then was off last week, and Clemson's coming off that tough night game in Tallahassee. You wondered, okay, would there be a little bit of a letdown factor after playing in that ball game? But no. That was answered quickly. 3rd down and 2 here for Watson and company. Watson to pass. Got to check it down to Adam Choice, and it's an easy 1st down pickup. There's just no resistance right now from that Syracuse defense.
Their heads are spinning on defense right now, and you see all the different looks, the personnel groupings, the different motions and the shifts. They're throwing a lot at Syracuse right now, and then conversely, Clemson playing a lot of different bodies, a lot of youth, getting more experience. This is going to pay off down the stretch here in the season.
Choice again, and he gets maybe a yard as we go to the studio.
Thanks, Dave. CarMex Drive What's Possible update. Number 17 Baylor in a big hole early against TCU. And take a look at this run by Kyle Hicks. Spins away from 2 defenders. 22-yard touchdown run, his 2nd TD of the game. They also added a pick 6. They're up 31-7 now. Dave, Greg, back to you.
Wow, that's 2 in a row for Baylor. Meanwhile, Michigan is thrashing Maryland. Harris Bennett back out there for Syracuse. That's good. This isn't, though. Artavis Scott, another dime thrown by Deshaun Watson. That's a laser for 17 yards.
You can watch football all day tomorrow. You won't see a throw as good as that. On time, perfectly in stride against tight coverage. Deshaun Watson's doing it all today.
They're in Syracuse territory again, and they run it straight ahead.
Kelly Bryant in at quarterback now for Clemson as they pull Deshaun Watson off to the sideline.
Bryant is a sophomore from Calhoun Falls, South Carolina. He's lined up at receiver at the top of your screen. They're going to run the same thing here. Bryant back there with Fuller, who had the carry last time. And it's Fuller again, and he's brought down at the 48-yard line for no gain, bringing up 3rd and long. I'm sure they're doing this, right, to just get it on film for other teams. I mean, why would you do that at this point?
Get Kelly Bryant some reps as well. Big lead. Deshaun Watson's playing well, and now their opponents down the stretch got to think about when they have 2 quarterbacks on the field.
Watson's back at quarterback on 3rd down and 10. Watson stepping up and taking off, and Watson gets the first down and more. Finally brought down at the 35, a 13-yard run by Deshaun Watson.
This is what he did so well down the stretch last year. Nothing there, north and south, break some tackles, pick up another first down for Clemson.
So impressed with his decision making. He's just such a smart player. I know he's had some interceptions this year, but a lot of those weren't on him.
Few were, though. He's been baited a couple times. And great today.
And that pass a little low, intended for Adam Choice. But don't you think, for the most part, Deshaun Watson, when it comes to decision making, whether to throw or run, he's going to come out of the game here for Kelly Bryant. Don't you think, for the most part, he's made the right decisions, though, Greg, this year?
He has. I mean, for the most part, he has. There have been a couple last week, in which he threw into some double coverage. Don't like seeing that, though. Grabbing his throwing shoulder. Keep an eye on that.
Now we saw A&M's Trevor Knight leave the game with what looked like a shoulder injury. Pass was high for Artavis Scott, but he still gets positive yardage to the 30-yard line, picking up 5.
Greg, he asked to be brought off. Certainly you could tell the way that ball came out, and however it was he was feeling, something's not right with him.
We'll keep an eye on him.
And then get over their 3rd quarterback, Nick Schuessler now. So Bryant gets some work. Schuessler's thrown 12 passes, including a touchdown. He's in the game right now on 3rd down and 4. Schuessler sliding up, and the pass batted down by Scoop Bradshaw. We think this is where the injury occurred here, getting dragged down by 2 Syracuse players and landing on that right shoulder on the run where he picked up the first down.
That's really scary.
And then after the pass he threw, it wasn't the next play, it was the play after. When he threw the pass, as Tom mentioned, he pointed to the shoulder and asked to come off the field. Clemson going to go for it on 4th and 4. Schuessler, the quarterback, looking, and it's Leggett on the catch. Inside the 10, knocked out of bounds at the 7. 1st and goal, Clemson.
Not the best decision I've ever seen. My goodness.
That ball should have been picked, Greg.
It got tipped by Bradshaw right to the hands of Leggett.
Great catch and great concentration from last week's hero, Jordan Leggett.
He's had game-winning touchdowns against Louisville and Florida State. 1st and goal. Schuessler throws a fade to Kane, and it is caught. Touchdown. Now they wave it off. Another official came in and said nope, he was out of bounds.
Look at the right foot here. It's down, but not entirely in bounds.
Yeah, the heel.
The heel. Catch right there. That right heel on the white line, which is an incompletion. Good job by the officials getting together.
And the crowd reacts, but they're seeing only the viewpoint of the front of the foot, and it's the whole foot, so when the back of it came down out of bounds, clearly an incompletion. Schuessler rolling out, got a wide open man, it doesn't matter, an easy touchdown to Artavis Scott, and the route is on here at Clemson. Whether it's the first, second, or third string quarterback for Clemson, they are carving up the Syracuse defense right now. The only thing bad to happen for Clemson is they missed an extra point earlier, but that one is good. 30-0. And now for today's Halflack trivia question. So Clemson has won 13 straight regular season ACC games, 14 in a row if you count the ACC championship game. Which team has the longest current win streak in conference, just regular season? I am not helping you this week because I have assisted you almost every week this year.
Your hints are outstanding, and I am grateful to you for that. I actually know the answer to this.
You do?
I do. I called their bowl game last year in Hawaii. They were undefeated in the Mountain West last year. If I'm not mistaken, it's the San Diego State Aztecs.
Hold that thought as Deshaun Watson goes back to the Clemson locker room. Boy, that would be huge if it's something serious. And again, he knew it after that throw that he had to come out of the game. Tom will get you an update as soon as it becomes available, if they'll give us an update. Some schools won't. Here's Riley on the return for Syracuse, and he's up to the 20. All right, Greg, you had one of the highest scores in Wonderlic history. I don't know if that played a role in your ability to answer this question.
It does not.
So it was San Diego State that won 14 straight games in the Mountain West Conference. Now, if Clemson hangs on and they have a 30-0 lead, they will match San Diego State. There are a ton of winning streaks right now for the Tigers. Don't want to bore you, so see if you can keep up here. 20 straight at home. 13 straight regular season ACC games. 22 straight regular season games overall. The only loss to Alabama. 43 straight games against unranked teams. That's the longest streak in the country. So that debunks the whole Clemsoning label that they've gotten. They have the longest streak in the country against unranked teams.
And Dabo Sweeney really dislikes that term because this team has changed the culture. No longer do they have less than admirable performances.
Adatawa pushed out of bounds. That's a term that, 5, 6, 7 years ago may have applied, but
it's ridiculous.
It's ridiculous to throw it out there now.
It's absolutely ridiculous.
You know what Clemsoning is, guys? Winning a lot of games.
You're right.
You better believe it.
Against good teams. Adatawa out of bounds, stops the clock with a minute to go. And again, I know Syracuse has struggled overall. They got a 4-4 record, but it's a team that was playing better. And talking with the coaches yesterday, they were very respectful of what Dino Babers has done and how the team has played better. You could tell on film, the coaches for Clemson felt that they have improved, but they have been getting just destroyed here today. But it doesn't help, again, when you have the third-string quarterback, Austin Wilson, and your best player, Eric Dungy, is out for the rest of the game.
And Dino Babers, he's going to do a nice job at Syracuse. He brings a lot of energy. He has a unique offense with some of the tempo that they use. And they run a defense that just doesn't yet have the experience or the talent to put it together for 4 quarters against top teams like the Clemson Tigers.
Well, this is the 4th different coach that Syracuse has hired since Paul Pasqualoni, who is very underappreciated at Syracuse for what he did. He had 10 10-win seasons. Coaches since have had 3 winning seasons. And they feel that this is the right guy, though. They finally found the right mix of personality, X and O, ability to recruit, as that pass is caught on 3rd and 10, but short of a first down. So Clemson's going to get it back here. Esteem on the catch. Time will tell if, again, Babers is the right coach for Syracuse, but the offense is exciting. The recruiting is better. Again, the grad transfer of Edatawo, that could help them if they can get more kids like him that have a year of eligibility remaining. But the one thing that Pasqualoni did when he was there, and the legendary and Hall of Famer Dick McPherson before Pasqualoni, was the ability to find the right kids from Connecticut like Dwight Freeney. a Pennsylvania like Marvin Harrison, or go to Florida and get some of the guys that maybe wouldn't go to Florida State or Miami at the time. They've got to find a way to get those kids, and getting someone like Dungy, even though it was the previous staff, that's a start. He wasn't recruited by Oregon. He comes all the way to Syracuse, and clearly this is a good player. Yeah,
he's very good. And you look at the program, they have tradition, and they have guys that are enshrined in the Hall of Fame for the NFL. And it's going to take some time. Naturally, the ACC, though, as a whole, the league top to bottom, has improved drastically in recent years, in large part due to the quality of coaches that have been brought in. Dino Babers is certainly on that list, so we're all looking forward to seeing what he will do during his tenure at Syracuse.
The quarterback play is so good in the ACC right now. I mean, just list any team right now, and they've got a good quarterback in the ACC. As Scott is wrapped up, he won't go down, though. Finally, they get him to the ground at the 22. Here's Deshaun Watson, again, where we think the injury happened, tackled in the run game. He stayed in for another play, threw a pass, and then as Tom Luganville mentioned, and you see it there, motion to the sideline, pointing to the right shoulder. He went back to the locker room. We'll try and get an update for you as soon as possible.
Very scary to see him and having the trainers work on his throwing arm. I know that everyone in this stadium's holding their breath. Make sure he's okay.
Schuessler throws a bullet to Mike Williams. They got time here, no timeouts, but the clock will stop to move the chains as Clemson looks for more with 27 seconds to go. 25 yards. Now spike it here. Clock started on the ready for play. 23 seconds to go.
And this is so important to a backup quarterback. Oftentimes when you're playing, it's either the result of a disaster or it's late in the game when it's completely out of hand. But here in the first half, operating a 2-minute offense, these are very valuable reps for Schuessler.
Schuessler on second down and 10. A clean pocket, airing it out for Williams. What a grab in traffic inside the 25. He had a drop earlier, but man, he's made a couple of incredible catches since. That's 29 yards. Again, the clock starts on the ready for play. They'll spike it with 13 seconds to go.
What a great catch. That's just trust between the quarterback and a wide receiver. Schuessler probably doesn't get a ton of reps with the ones, and Mike Williams in particular. That was a great throw. A little bit of a back shoulder on a post route.
Greg Hugel. Now, Clemson missed an extra point earlier, but on field goals he's only missed twice. In fact, he's missed as many extra points as he had field goals this year. But again, no timeouts. Clock will stop if they get a first down. Otherwise, you got to keep it to the sideline. And that pass a little off the mark as Williams slipped. The ball was a little high. 8 seconds left. They're going to just bring on the field goal team here rather than take a risk with no timeouts.
Good drive right there by the backup quarterback. Made some big throws into tight windows. Steal some points before the half. Well done.
Hugel made a 22-yarder earlier. This is a 40-yard attempt for the sophomore place kicker. And it hits the right upright. No good.
It's hard to find any issues with this first half performance other than a couple near makes that resulted in misses by Greg Hugel. Dabo, he's a competitor, man. Up 30-0. Love the energy he brings every single day to this program.
Dabo was telling us yesterday he thought 2010, even when they lost a handful of games, that was the year that turned things around for his program as Syracuse runs the ball and they don't get much. The next year they beat Auburn, the defending champs, and they have never looked back. Lost in the title game last year. They're number 2 in the country this year. and a half away from going to 9-0. But again, no Eric Dungey for Syracuse has not helped the cause for the Orange, and certainly has aided Clemson. But Deshaun Watson, what's his status after leaving the game with a right shoulder injury? Tom is with Dabo.
Coach, what, if anything, can you tell us about the status of Deshaun Watson?
I don't know until I get in there. He thought it was just in his muscle and his trap, but we'll see. He was loosening up, but had like a little stinger, so we'll see once we get in there. That's all I know.
Okay. From your perspective, I know you had tremendous respect for how Syracuse had improved throughout the year. Is this the type of performance you expected from your team?
Yeah, well, we played really clean. We've taken care of the football, and we put some great drives together. We've executed on third down, running the ball effectively, and then we're playing good defense. So, outside of the big kickoff, we hadn't really given up a return all year. So that was probably the most disappointing thing, was that one return. We just had a couple guys there just didn't make the play. But, we got another half, and proud of how they played.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Okay, thank you.
Top 5 of the 8 wins by 7 points or less for Clemson, but right now they are thrashing Syracuse 30-0 at halftime. And we'll send you back to the college football studio after these messages. You're watching the ACC on ESPN. The Clemson Tigers trying to get to 9-0 and make it 23 consecutive regular season wins, dominating Syracuse at the half 30-0. Dave Pasch back with Greg McElroy. Tom Luganbill will have an update on Deshaun Watson's health in a minute. Speaking of Watson, we said at the start of the telecast, hey, first 3 quarters, he's been up and down. Well, he was up in that first half as he accounted for 3 touchdowns and had over 200 yards of total offense.
Yeah, today it's been Deshaun Watson's world. We're all just living in it. Absolutely on the money. When it comes to throwing the ball down the field, he found Deon Cain there for a big touchdown. Then a few moments later, Mike Williams in the red zone. Very reliable target. This was unfortunate, though. There towards the end of the second quarter, fell a little awkwardly on his right shoulder, came out of the game as a result. But I know, Tom, you were able to talk with some people on the Clemson sideline and got word as to what hit happened.
Yeah, and Deshaun came out of the locker room with the rest of his teammates in full uniform. He will not start the second half, but he is available. And Clemson themselves, to put any speculation to rest, went ahead and tweeted that out from their own sports information department. Now, the good news is, if you're a Clemson fan, is this is an offense that never took its foot off the pedal when Deshaun Watson went out of the game. The offense didn't change. They are what they are, and these are very valuable reps for some of the reserves and for Nick Schuessler, the backup, who made some really impressive throws, Greg.
So it sounds, guys, like basically Deshaun Watson could play, but he doesn't have to, so he won't.
And why risk it at this point? Up 30-0. He might be the best player in college football. Surprise onside.
And they got it. The question is, did they touch it prior to it going 10 yards? Andrew Armstrong covers it up, but they're ruling that it's a legal touching, and it's going to be Clemson ball, that Armstrong touched it prior to going 10 yards. Hey, why not if you're Syracuse, right?
The ball was touched by the kicking team before it went 10 yards. First down, Clemson.
Yeah, that was a pretty easy call there for the officiating crew.
Why not is right, though. Obviously, Syracuse couldn't get anything going in the first half. Offense struggled. Defense got torn apart. Trying to get momentum early. Nothing going for him on the surprise onside.
Yeah, they're 5th in the country in passing yards, but they threw for just 96 in the first half. Wayne Gallman off the right side on the first play of the third quarter for Clemson. Makes it to the 39 to pick up 5. So Nick Schuessler in at quarterback. We saw Kelly Bryant in there as well. Bryant actually came in with Watson lined up at wide receiver before the injury. Swing pass to Artavis Scott, fighting his way to the first down marker.
I'm pretty impressed with Nick Schuessler. Deshaun Watson, you see looking on, helping out the team, but Schuessler's come in, like Tom alluded to in the open, hasn't missed a beat offensively.
He's a graduate student from Grayson, Georgia. Going to hand it off here as Gallman is picked up and driven to the ground by Paris Bennett, the leading tackler for Syracuse. who's a good player for them. He was hurt earlier in the game, but has come back in and still playing hard. Schuessler 4 of 7, a touchdown pass in that first half. Here's Schuessler on 2nd and 10. Throws complete to the 28-yard line to Hunter Renfrow.
No, Greg, when I saw Clemson last spring and then came and visited them in the fall, it was interesting to hear Jeff Scott, Tony Elliott, the co-offensive coordinators, talk about Schuessler and how Kelly Bryant's had a hard time unseating him because the guy just throws darts. He's accurate. He's confident. The team believes him. This is a guy that's come out of nowhere and provided some real stability behind Deshaun Watson.
He's one play away.
And a good throw by Schuessler right on the money to Mike Williams. He's caught everything since he had that one drop.
Tom said he throws darts. How's that for an example? On the money on a little Bang 8 skinny post. Beautiful throw. He likes Mike Williams too. He seems to be on the receiving end of almost all his attempts.
Well, it's a good guy to throw to. 6'3", 225, and leading receiver Gallman stepping over defenders to try to make it to the 5-yard line. And again, if something ever were to happen to Watson later in the season or in a game that's close, at least you have a better feel for what Schuessler can do in these conditions.
And it's not often you see a veteran upperclassman, in this particular case a senior, that's willing to serve as a backup quarterback. So often guys leave for greener pastures. He's certainly capable of running this offense at a high level, though.
There's Gallman again, and he's into the end zone for the Clemson touchdown. That's number 8 on the ground this season for Gallman. It is 36-0. Greg Hugel has missed twice, though, an extra point and a field goal, but he puts this one through. 37-0. Kick off your Week 9 NFL Sunday with us on ESPN at 10 a.m. Eastern. It's NFL Insider Sunday edition with all the early breaking stories and injury news. Then at 11, it's the new Sunday NFL Countdown. Both shows stream live on ESPN app and watch ESPN. The Clemson Tigers ranked number 2 in the initial college football playoff rankings, looking to get to 9-0 for the second straight year and 6-0 in the ACC, closing in on another division title. They lead Syracuse 37-0 as Riley is dropped hard at the 20-yard line. Let's take a look at our Pacific Life game summary. Deshaun Watson, 3 total touchdowns, 2 passing, including that one to Mike Williams. Meanwhile, an interception thrown by quarterback Eric Dungy before the injury. Then his replacement, Austin Wilson, throws a pick to Cordray Tankersley. And that's really all you need to know. Dungy did not return after taking a shot on a run play. He actually moved the ball a little bit when his backup, Austin Wilson, came into the game. It's the first time Wilson has played this year. He did start a couple of games in 2014. They run Strickland on first down, able to spin forward for about 4 yards. Let's check in with Tom.
Well, guys, just so Clemson fans can wipe their brow, I made eye contact with Deshaun Watson after that last touchdown. He looked at me, I mouthed to him, I said, "You all right, kid?" And he winked and nodded. "Oh, yeah, I'm fine."
And again, he's available to return, but it's doubtful we'll see him in this kind of a game, as Adetawo is dropped by Mark Fields. It'll bring up, now they're going to give him a first down. He did get the ball across to move the sticks. Here's Irvin Phillips, and he's dumped out of play, a pickup of 3 or 4.
And this is a learning experience for this young Syracuse team. They've had some high moments, some great moments. Win against Virginia Tech. Clearly didn't have anything going today, but them continuing to battle will help them in the future.
That was a good pass to Editawo, who's turned himself probably into an NFL receiver. We'll see what kind of a number he puts up in the 40-yard dash, but he's got a chance to win the Biletnikoff on a team that's under 500 right now, as that pass is thrown out of bounds. He was in the pocket there. No flag.
We'll take a look at it. There was a slant by Editawo. Where he threw it was about 9 rows deep into the stands.
But intent is not supposed to matter.
Still in the direction of an eligible wide receiver.
The quarterback was not under pressure, so there's no intentional grounding.
I'm a former quarterback. I don't like to see quarterbacks get flags thrown on them. I would have thrown one there.
Strickland right into the arms of Kendall Joseph. So gain of a couple. So Amba Editawo just passed Marvin Harrison for the most receiving yards in a single season. Marvin Harrison's on the Hall of Fame. Now, you know the offense is a lot different now than it was when Harrison played at Syracuse, but still quite a year for a guy that has more catches as a graduate transfer than he had in all his years at Maryland. 3rd and 8. Wilson throws, knocked away by Tankersley. Tankersley struggled against Florida State last week. He's bounced back in a big way here today.
Great break on the ball right there. Marvin Harrison. To think that you're in the same conversation with him at any point, one of the best that's ever done it, that's saying something. Like you said, a little different with the up-tempo spread that Dino Babers has run, but certainly speaks to his production this year.
So another punt coming from Syracuse and Sterling Hoffrichter. Artavis Scott is deep for Clemson. And a whistle here.
Delay a game.
Might have been intentional.
5-yard penalty, 4th down.
How do you have a delay a game on a punt,
Well,
guys?
it could have been intentional, right? Give Hoffrichter more room.
I don't know. There was nothing about that. As I'm watching it here, nothing about that looked intentional in terms of how they were aligned.
No urgency at all. I understand trying to get 5 more yards. Actually a little surprised that Clemson didn't decline that.
You know, guys, when Dungy went out, it seemed like the life went out of the Syracuse team. And he's a fiery guy. He's their leader. And when you see him, a guy that seems invincible, when he gets hit, leaving the game, I wonder what that did to the psyche of this team. Fair caught. And Clemson will start from its 16-yard line. No Dungy, no life for Syracuse. Down 37-zip.
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Belfort Property Restoration, restoring more than property. BELFOR.com.
Military Appreciation Day here at Memorial Stadium in Clemson. The Tigers up 37-0. And current player Sean McLean is a member of the ROTC, and he's on his way to the Air Force after he's done here at Clemson. As they throw it out on the flat to the 22-yard line. Seth Ryan out to about the 24. Here's McLean. He was involved in the changing of the guard, where they change out the flag just outside the stadium. We may see Sean in the game at some point. Normally doesn't play, but in a 37-0 game, Sean may get in.
Keep an eye on him. One of the most respected guys in the entire team.
Schuessler back to throw on 2nd and 2. Going to air it out here. Overshot. Deion Kane, incomplete.
Second to go, had a throw actually to Seth Ryan. Known him for a long time. He's coming out now. having a completion. That's the son of Rex Ryan, obviously head coach of the Buffalo Bills.
And was your head coach when you were with the Jets?
He was. Love Seth Ryan. One of my favorite kids I've ever met. Great understanding of football, obviously coming from that family.
Tyshawn Dye gets the first down and more as we check in with Cassidy in the studio.
Thanks, Dave, to Manhattan, Kansas. Number 18, Oklahoma State up 21-16 over K-State until Mason Rudolph is picked off by Duke Shelley. Guys, back to you.
All right, Cassidy, 37-0 Clemson on top of Syracuse. Tigers have a 1st and 10 on their 36-yard line. Again, Nick Schuessler in for Deshaun Watson, who is available despite bruising his shoulder at the end of the first half. Schuessler going to keep it here. Dragged down at the 38-yard line. So none of us had Texas A&M in the top 4, although the playoff committee did. These are our predictions. The first 2 out entering today. We all had Ohio State except me. I had A&M and Louisville. We all had Washington in. So what did we catch that the committee missed, guys, by not having Washington in?
Well, Washington's going to be there if they continue to win. Texas A&M, according to the committee, had more wins against teams with an above 500 record. Obviously, that came crashing down today at the hands of the Mississippi State Bulldogs.
I don't think the committee liked Washington's non-conference schedule either. I think that was a big part of where they were coming from. And I'll tell you another thing that the committee has a bit of a challenge with is how do you weigh what a team was ranked when that team played them as opposed to the team now, all right, and how they're playing. I think they rewarded an Auburn with a number 9 slot there. That's one of the hotter teams in college football. So it's going to be interesting to see this thing unfold down the stretch. But certainly Washington's non-conference schedule early is the reason why.
Schuessler steps up, and he's tackled to the 39. Now, I had Louisville as the next team. You guys had Ohio State. The reason I said Louisville is just looking at the teams they've played and how badly they beat Florida State. When NC State was playing well and almost beat Clemson, how badly they beat them. And Ohio State barely survives in Madison. Loses to Penn State. I, for the life of me, can't figure out how Penn State is number 12 in the country.
I'm with you. I think it's way too high. Team obviously lost big to Michigan and against Pitt. Gave up a lot of points in that game as well.
And the fair catch made to the 20-yard line. We'll have more playoff discussion. We got plenty of time to do it. 37-0 Syracuse is now. In a pass segment, throwing from Howard's Rock, trying to hit the crossbar, and apparently I didn't even make the cut here because Luganbill and McElroy were dropping dimes. There's Greg to tie things up, and now for the win, McElroy nails it. Does the Forrest Gump run? There were some that were hoping he would keep running. But then again, we need somebody else to talk for the next quarter and a half.
Hey, we've got viewers. Cover up your belly, Greg.
Yeah, no kidding.
Here's Neal getting the first down for Syracuse, trying to outrun defenders. They finally catch him at the 30-yard line. Boy, that looked a lot like Greg McElroy yesterday.
Look at the form.
It's because he won on a technicality.
Untrue.
No, that's fact.
Untrue.
Fact.
Mo Neal. By the way, I was so close on like 6 or 7 attempts. And
so close.
See, look, you're now up by 7 points. I don't know if there's enough games left for me to be able to catch you. Tom's got me by 4 points.
I'm going to have to double up one of these weeks to get you back into it. Maybe next week.
Pump fake by Wilson, and the catch made by Phillips for a Syracuse first down.
Maybe we'll do some play-by-play challenge. You would have a distinct advantage in that category, I would say.
You think?
Why?
Somebody close Lude's mic. That catch is made at the 15-yard line for a gain of 3 by Phillips. I mean, we're running out of things. We did great catching. We threw in a hurricane. We threw in 98 degrees and humidity. We should maybe like go to Twitter and have people tweet suggestions about what to do for the rest of the season. Wilson with a late pitch and nowhere to go for Neal. Slammed down to the 17, a loss of 2.
The big thing is, I mean, the reason why you just can't contend with us young bucks is just not as young as you used to be.
Ed Hare.
Look at Dave Hatch.
By the way,
good.
Look at the picture in the top left there. Look at the guys along with me, how young they are. There's a young Mike Tirico there, an Iron Eagle. Sean had hair. I had hair.
Great hair, I might add.
Life was good.
We still like your sproutlings, Dave.
Meanwhile, 3rd and 10 as the play clock winds down to 2. Well short of the first down is Phillips. You would imagine Syracuse would go for it here on 4th down.
Got to give Austin Wilson some credit. Played before, obviously, but hasn't played this year. To be thrown in this environment and to complete passes and have moments, good for him. He's going against a great defense here at Clemson. Very, very difficult.
They want points. They also want to give Cole Murphy some confidence. He's 8 of 15 on field goals, so they're bringing him out there, and he missed it from 31 yards out. That won't help the confidence, to say the least. So it remains 37-0 Clemson. But again, I think that was less about avoiding a shutout and more about getting a kicker some confidence.
There's no question. You never know when you're going to need a kicker in crunch time. Trying to get him some reps and live reps in a crazy environment. Nothing better for that.
All right, let's take a look at this week's college football rankings brought to you by Allstate. Week 1 from the College Football Playoff Selection Committee. Again, Texas A&M losing earlier today to Mississippi State. Michigan and Clemson are going to stay undefeated. Washington plays Cal tonight as Feaster is wrapped up for minimal gain. Let's take a look at 6 through 10. Again, you got 2 teams in here that Clemson beat. Ohio State, Nebraska is on 8 ABC tonight. Wisconsin beat Northwestern earlier today. So got a lot to talk about here. Let's start with the team that's ranked number 1. Alabama at LSU tonight. Do you see the Tide winning that game? What does LSU have to do? That pass was deflected and almost caught by Kane, and had he caught it, he would run for a touchdown. And what has to happen for LSU to win that game?
They can't turn the football over. Same story, different day when going against Alabama. Their defense has scored in almost every game. They have a non-offensive touchdown, whether it be on defense or special teams, in every game this year. LSU has some newfound confidence offensively since Ed Orgeron took over as the interim. But this will obviously be by far their toughest challenge.
Schuessler taking a shot down the field. What a beautiful pass to Kane. That was an incredible throw. Perfectly placed to Deon Kane.
Great job by Kane securing the catch. Obviously getting 1 foot down in bounds. That time he got 2. Would have been good on Sundays.
Here's Schuessler running. Decides not to slide. Wrapped up by Davon Ellison. There is a penalty flag on the far side.
Say this, guys. Deon Kane, former high school quarterback's just starting to figure it out. He is going to be a
There's
great
no
player
foul on the play.
for this offense. Once he learns all the little nuances, because all of the skill is there, he's going to be special.
Hey, Tom, I just want to hit you up on the Alabama-LSU game while we have a moment. I know Greg thinks Alabama's going to win that game. Are you with him, or do you think LSU pulls the upset?
I do as well, but I think that this is going to be the first time in a long time that LSU is going to present more problems for Alabama to have to defend. I don't think Alabama comes into this game and just says, all right, as long as we keep this game in a phone booth, we're going to win it. I don't know if LSU is going to allow them to do that. You're going to see a lot more first and second down throws, more spread out 3x1 and 2x2 sets, just to force Alabama to have to cover and defend the entire field. That hasn't always been the case, but tough environment. nighttime environment. I think it's going to be a really good football game, but you got to screw something up to get it going.
Kelly Bryant keeping it here, and he picks up a yard.
Yeah, and LSU, look, I know the Mad Hatter, Les Miles, is no longer in charge. Don't be surprised if they try to generate some offense on some trick plays. Maybe a fake punt, maybe a surprise onside kick. Ed Orgeron's going to have to press all the right buttons because Alabama in big games has played exceptionally well this year.
Feaster gets 3 yards. There's a penalty marker down. Guys, to me, and maybe I'm being too simple here, I think this comes down to whether Leonard Fournette can finally run the ball in Alabama. If they can move that D-line, and
Personal
Fournette
foul.
can run the ball.
Face mask. Defense. Number 98. 15-yard penalty. Automatic first down.
So McKinley Williams with a face mask. I mean, if they can finally run the ball and allow LSU to be three-dimensional, run, pass, play action, they have a shot.
And LSU's offensive line the last few years has really struggled against Alabama's defensive front. Leonard Fournette does most of his damage when he's untouched at the second level. If he gets a full head of steam, he's almost impossible to stop. So the defensive line for Alabama and the offensive line for LSU, that's where that game always seems to be decided.
You know,
hit
Greg,
by Ellison that time on the pass intended for Smith. Go ahead, Tom.
I think that kind of goes to the point I was trying to make earlier in relationship to how they're going to force Alabama to defend them this time. Get advantageous numbers in the box where you're not trying to run downhill and you're knocking your head against the wall when Alabama outnumbers you and you're still trying to run inside. So if they can create those opportunities, I think from a personnel matchup, obviously LSU is going to have athletes, are going to have confidence. They'll come into this game playing good football.
Guys, what about the intangible, though? What about the fact that clearly these guys like Ed Orgeron? They're going to play hard for Ed Orgeron. And in college football, that matters more than it does in pro sports. How big of a factor can that be in this game?
They like Les Miles. Every single player that I've ever talked to in Baton Rouge loves Les Miles.
Yep.
Would run through a brick wall for Les Miles. The problem is that brick wall has been Alabama.
Schuessler going to the end zone, and it's caught by Kane. Touchdown, Clemson. Another excellent throw by the backup quarterback, Nick Schuessler. Kane with 2 touchdowns in the game. That's 8 on the year.
Deshaun likes it, doesn't he? Little fist pump. Nothing better than seeing your buddy, backup quarterback, in there dropping dimes.
Also nice to know that no matter how well the backup plays, you're still the guy next week, right?
Nobody's taking his spot.
44-zip. Big Ten games continues. It's Ohio State and Nebraska from the shoe. Both teams at 7-1. Says Big Ten championship implications, college football playoff implications at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on ABC. Remember Ohio State a couple of years ago started number 16 in the polls and ended up winning the national championship. Last year was Oklahoma, 15th. There's going to be somebody not on the radar. Who is that team? A lot of people thought it would be Florida, but they're trailing right now to Arkansas 21-7. Sean Riley on the return for Syracuse. And he gets up to about the 20-yard line. So Florida ends up losing, because I think that was your team, right, Greg, that you thought outside the top 10. Is there another team that's on your radar?
I guess Oklahoma would be about the only team that I think has a chance because they control their own destiny in their conference. Granted, they have a couple of ugly losses. Against Houston in the first game of the season, got blown out at home against Ohio State in week 3. This year, it feels like it's going to not be as chaotic as it was in 2014. Last year, it was chalk for the most part. 4 1-loss or 0-loss conference champions made it. This year, it might get a little bit dicier if, in fact, one of the teams that should be favored in almost every game down the stretch were to drop one that we don't expect them to drop. All eyes on Washington. Clemson's looking great. Alabama's looking great. Michigan's playing very well. You think the Michigan-Ohio State winner's got a chance. And then, of course, it comes down to the Washington Huskies. Are they ready to do it this year?
That was a terrific win in Salt Lake City last week as Richard Jurgen gets pressured on the quarterback, Austin Wilson.
You know, guys, I think that the best thing to happen to Washington was not to be included in the top 4. You got that carrot out there dangling in front of you. You don't have to play with the pressure of trying to stay in the top 4 the whole way. I think it's the best thing that could ever happen to Chris Peterson's ball club.
Trying to set up a screen here on 3rd down and 5. In trouble. Big hit as the catch is made by Editawo. Carlos Watkins lights him up. It's 4th down. Guys, the team that I really am curious as to how things play out for is Wisconsin, because they're in the top 10. They're number 8. They have 2 losses. One of those losses was in overtime at home to Ohio State. The other loss was at Michigan. They have a win over LSU. Can a 2-loss team, now they need some help, Nebraska needs to lose to get to the Big Ten Championship, but can a 2-loss team, does Wisconsin have to be a conference champion? And if they are a conference champion, is that enough to get in with 2 losses in the Big Ten? Trapped to the 40-yard line on the final play of the 3rd quarter. And that's the end of the 3rd here in Clemson. We'll return after this message, a word from our ABC stations. Sean McLean and his involvement with the U.S. military for today's AT&T Inside Access. Sean, a senior wide receiver for Clemson, a member of the Air Force ROTC, involved in the changing of the guard and then got the American flag to run down the hill here after touching Howard's Rock. Sean getting the crowd going. Doesn't get a lot of playing time, but the helmet is on. First time we've seen him don the helmet today, so might we see him on offense here in the 4th quarter with his team leading by a score of 44-0 over Syracuse. Kelly Bryant is in at quarterback, and they're going to run it to Adam Choice straight ahead. He's to the 46 for 6 yards. This is Military Appreciation Day at Clemson. Now, Bob Jones, who was a coach here at Clemson for 30 some odd years, while he was coaching, served in World War II. Wow. Here's Choice. Gets the first down of the 49.
Tremendous appreciation by these Clemson fans, and obviously this university is so grateful for their service. Did a remarkable tribute at halftime. Fallen soldiers.
Greg, I was down here at halftime, and I'm going to tell you, I have never seen a halftime presentation, nor have I ever seen 81,000 people so dead silent in my entire life. That was the most remarkable halftime in a collegiate event I've ever seen.
It was incredible. I didn't move a muscle and just watched and observed it and took it in.
It was completely silent in the stadium for about 5 or 6 minutes. Completely silent. Nice throw by Bryant to Travion Thompson. First down, Clemson. Again, Bryant, a sophomore. He came on in the first half to play with Deshaun Watson for a couple of trick plays. Mostly a runner, but showing off his arm a couple times here in the second half. He's the 3rd Clemson quarterback to see action today. Schussler has thrown 2 touchdown passes. Choice, sophomore running back, gets a handful. Clemson under Dabo Swinney. Look at their recruiting classes. According to ESPN Recruiting Nation, of course, Tom Luganbill heads up our recruiting department with ESPN. Been in the top 13 every year, the last 5. Pitch was a little behind Choice and down to the 23-yard line. I mean, Tom, is this something that you think under Dabo is going to be sustainable for a long time in terms of recruiting?
Without question. The brand right now at Clemson has such a positive vibe in relationship to how they're viewed and perceived. But here's the most important thing about this program in recruiting. South Carolina State's about 4 million people. So you have to go into other people's backyards to get the bulk of your players. And you could make an argument that Clemson in recruiting, there's not been another program that has done a better job than they have. In case in point, Deshaun Watson out of the state of Georgia, okay? only one of their receivers in their entire two deep is an in-state player, and that's Mike Williams. Dexter Lawrence, Christian Wilkins, guys, is from Connecticut. All right, so when they had Sammy Watkins and C.J. Spiller, Mackenzie Alexander, all of those guys are Florida kids. So I think you've got to give them a lot of credit for not only evaluating the best guy and the right guy, but stealing them from other programs in other states.
I can speak from experience. As someone that went through the recruiting process 10 years ago, passion resonates with kids. And the excitement that you get when you walk into this stadium is as good as anywhere in college football.
Hugel makes a 46-yarder. It's 47-0 Clemson. Pacific Life game summary with Clemson in front 47-0 over Syracuse. Deshaun Watson, these are all first half numbers. 2 touchdowns passing, 1 rushing. Kane has 2 receiving touchdowns, 2 turnovers, both interceptions in the first half by Syracuse. They lost their quarterback, Eric Dungy, in the first half due to an injury. He did not return and is obviously in street clothes. Meanwhile, Deshaun Watson with a bruised shoulder at the end of the first half. He is available but not going to play, so that means at least based on our deduction that he could have played if it's a close game. Dabo said he won't play, but he is available as Riley lost the ball and then got leveled at the 17-yard line. All right, we're going to get into Clemson's remaining schedule a little bit later. Let's look at 4 of the other top 5 teams. Alabama tonight at LSU. Then home against Mississippi State. The Iron Bowl is in Tuscaloosa. Michigan in prime time next week at Iowa. Indiana at home, not a pushover game. Then they're in Columbus. They got trounced by Ohio State last year. A&M, they got 2 losses, so you would think that moves them out of the conversation, losing to an under 500 team today in Mississippi State. Washington at Cal, not easy. SC, and how about Washington State? They lose 2 games in the non-conference, but they're unbeaten in Pac-12 play, as Neal is stopped after a gain of 1 or 2.
Yeah, the Apple Cup, I'm not sure that game's had the same level of excitement that it'll have this year. Obviously, USC is going to be a tough one for the Washington Huskies here in a couple weeks. Tonight's going to be difficult, I would assume, against a Cal team that can score some points, but it might all come down to deciding the Pac-12 North, because both those teams right now undefeated in their conference.
Mo Neal is shaken up. We mentioned that A&M, 2 losses. You would think out of it because of who they lost to. Go back to the end of the third quarter. What about Wisconsin with 2 losses? Can they get in?
Highly unlikely, I think, at this point, because how can you justify putting them in ahead of Ohio State and Michigan, who beat them head-to-head?
ESPN College Football, brought to you by Pacific Life, helping generations of families achieve long-term financial security for over 145 years.
Military Appreciation Day on a gorgeous Saturday here in Clemson, South Carolina. Gorgeous in terms of the weather, 75 degrees, and if you're a Clemson fan, gorgeous on the field. Beautiful offense. The defense has not given up a point, and another penalty.
Offense, number 63, 5-yard penalty, first down.
And how does that happen out of a timeout where you can't hold your water? Evan Adams, the right guard, moving. It's a 5-yard penalty. But Clemson has had some close calls against good teams. Again, Troy has not lost since. But even if you leave them out of the equation, Auburn is much better than people thought at the beginning of the year. Here's some running room for Fredericks, close to a first down. You wanted Florida State. I don't care if they had a couple losses already. And then, the win against Louisville, which has maybe the most high-powered offense in college football. I mean, there's something. Clemson might be better than Alabama right now.
They can play with anybody. You look at the self-inflicted mistakes they've had over the course of this season, it's remarkable. Interceptions, turnovers, came into today -1 in the turnover ratio. I mean, that's unheard of for a team that's undefeated. Of course, today +2 when it comes to turnovers, so that's back on the positive side. But this team hasn't even begun, I think, to scratch the surface of what they can become.
False start. Offense, number 3, 5-yard penalty, second down.
Now, there's no excuse for this. The game's over. You've gotten blown out, but I mean, if you're a player right now, you got to be embarrassed. Keep making these mistakes.
Don't think for a second that Dino Babers won't use this. When they go back to Syracuse and they put on the tape, he's going to watch the first quarter just like he's going to watch the fourth quarter and evaluate the guys that might not get as much playing time, see what kind of effort they're giving when the game's already out of reach.
All right, I know Tom wanted to jump in here on the whole 2-loss discussion because A&M has 2 losses. Wisconsin has 2 losses. What if Wisconsin wins the Big Ten championship?
Well, if the committee, as we know, places such a high premium on the conference champion, if you were to take the approach that the SEC is going to get in, the ACC is going to get in, and if Washington were to continue even with 1 loss and wins the Pac-12, they get in. So if Wisconsin wins the Big Ten championship, of course it's possible. But I do think some other things would have to happen. But you could almost argue or make the same argument for Auburn. Because if Auburn's sitting right now in those opening rankings at number 9, all right, that's something that I don't think a lot of people saw coming. And they've got some games in front of them that could play out really well in their favor.
The happiest people today are the Auburn Tiger fans because they now control their own destiny in the SEC as a result of the loss by the Texas A&M Aggies. Remember, Texas A&M beat them in September. Now they beat Alabama and they win the rest of the games on their schedule. They're going to be in the SEC championship.
Look, I think if Washington loses a game, they're not getting in. I think if Washington loses a game, the Pac-12 is going to get left out. I think they have to go undefeated to get into the college football playoff, because what will happen is you'll probably have 2 teams from the Big Ten. Because obviously the committee thinks very highly of the Big Ten, having 4 in the top 10. If Nebraska wins tonight, they're not out of the discussion with 1 loss because they still would have to lead over Wisconsin in their division. It's a long throw that is on the money to Editawo. He caught it in bounds at the 42. It's a good throw by Austin Wilson.
Really good throw.
You agree on that, though? Washington has to be undefeated for the Pac-12?
I don't necessarily do, because USC, they could win out the rest of their games. And if they lose to USC and then get another chance against the Trojans in the Pac-12 championship game,
Clemson,
I think they
first of the
can
hat.
suffer a loss. It just can't be a beatdown in one of those games.
About team this week because they got left out of the top 4 in the initial poll, but everybody will be watching tonight at Cal at 10:30 Eastern on ESPN. It's also streaming live on the ESPN app and watch ESPN. The Huskies of Washington 5th. Sorry, I said Cougars accidentally, I guess. Like, talk about a major faux pas there. You can't call Washington State's nickname. Of course, I meant the Huskies. Bill Walton right now is going to light me up as a member of the Conference of Champions as that ball gets picked off on a redirection. A live ball to Tanner Muse, returns inside the 20, and Muse making music. Touchdown, Clemson.
One more look at it. Does the ball hit the ground?
It hits 4 guys.
And Muse says, I'll take it.
The previous play is under further review. The ruling on the field is the ball was never touched the ground, was intercepted and returned for a touchdown.
I'll make this easy. The ruling on the field is confirmed.
That kid can flat out run.
I'll say.
And he's a reserve.
He also made a great tackle earlier in the game.
I know it.
On special teams, yeah.
It's a great baseball player, too, that young man, Tanner Muse.
Well, this should stand. We took several looks at it. Obviously, doesn't appear as though the ball hit the ground prior to ending up in Tanner Muse's arms. Run after catch, though.
That's impressive.
I'll say.
Well, they're taking their time with this. We get the Game Day Operations Center in Greensboro that gets involved here. But this is going to hold up. Interception, third of the day by Syracuse.
After further review, the ruling on the field is confirmed. Touchdown.
Tanner Muse, you just made the Sports Center top 10.
Good for him.
Following us, it's Nebraska, Ohio State on ABC, SC, Oregon on ESPN, followed by the Washington Huskies and Cal at 10:30 on ESPN. 54-0, Clemson. This blowout started in the first half, but at the end of the first half, he injures his right shoulder on this running play. He stayed in for one more play, and after throwing the ball, motioned to come to the sideline, pointing to his right shoulder. Dabo Swinney told Tom Luganbill that it is a bruised right shoulder, that he is available, but wouldn't start the second half, and then Deshaun winked at Tom as if to say, I'm good to go. Now we get a week, I'm sure, of questions about it. But maybe Dabo will put that to rest in the postgame, depending on what kind of medical information he has. But it was a bruised right shoulder for Deshaun Watson. As Clemson is back home next week to take on Pittsburgh, which lost to Miami today. Riley tackled at the 20. So when you're Tanner Muse and you get a pick six, guess what? You get kissed by defensive linemen.
Christian Wilkins. He's the leader of this football team on the defensive side. Coaches said everybody loves this guy. It appears as though he loves everybody also.
So did like Rolando McClain or anybody come up and give you a big smooch on the cheek after a big touchdown pass?
Not often, no. Been yelled at a couple times by Rolando McClain.
So you don't kiss and tell is what you're saying. As Fredericks is in trouble in the backfield. And in real trouble. Down he goes, losing about 5. We mentioned the Pitt game next week. That'll be a 3:30 game. And then they go to Wake Forest, South Carolina. And obviously what is a rivalry game here November 26th. And then assuming that Clemson is in the ACC championship game, would it be North Carolina? Will it be Virginia Tech?
Virginia Tech obviously controls their destiny. Beat North Carolina head-to-head by the slightest 34-point margin you've ever seen.
That was Hurricane Day, though, in North Carolina.
It was. Things looking very favorable, though, obviously, for this Clemson team. Nobody remaining on their schedule that should be able to match up with them from a talent standpoint.
Sean Riley in the catch out to the 23. Is there a team other than Alabama, of course? And Clemson hung with them, went toe-to-toe that championship game. Is there a team that you think matches up with them, that is good enough defensively to shut down this offense? Maybe a Michigan.
It would be Michigan. Michigan or Ohio State. Both those teams. Obviously, Ohio State has not had their best stuff. Hasn't been able to put a 60-minute performance together, especially in recent weeks. But from a talent standpoint, they're elite, as is Clemson. Michigan defensively, maybe not the most talented group, but you could make the argument they have the best player on the defensive side of the football in Jabril Peppers.
Zach Mahoney in the game. He gets to the 33, picking up 10 yards.
I think that Michigan team is really interesting. A lot of people saying, well, they haven't really beaten anybody. And the teams they have beaten, have all been in the state of Michigan.
Wisconsin and Penn State.
Wisconsin and Penn State would be the two. Haven't really been tested in a hostile environment. They will next week, obviously, at Iowa. And then finally, in the last game of the regular season, you know the Buckeyes are looking forward to welcoming them to town.
Fredericks dropped in the backfield by Jurgen.
You know, Greg and Dave, we've seen Alabama now, we've seen Ohio State twice, now seeing Clemson. In my opinion, this team here that we've seen today, and I know Syracuse isn't the opponent that you want to make the assessment against, at least today, but this is the team that best resembles in execution and athleticism what we saw out of Alabama. And I don't know if you guys agree with that from up there, but down here on the hoof, this is about as good-looking a football team as you're going to find.
Yeah, they look the part. Every position. Long, fast, athletic, and extremely well-coached.
Mahoney throws it away. Guys, I think Clemson's the best team we've seen. I think the difference is the quarterback, and it's nothing against Jalen Hurts. There's just some stuff about Jalen Hurts we don't know yet. But Deshaun Watson, he's a proven entity. He's one of the best players in college football. There's still some tests remaining for Hurts starting tonight.
And right now, Jalen Hurts is a great athlete. Does a wonderful job in the run game, but the downfield passing attack hasn't been there the way it was a year ago. Now, Lane Kiffin has been able to mask some of those deficiencies because they're very good in the run game. But against Clemson and against Ohio State and against the best teams in college football, you have to be able to win, not just on the ground, but also through the air.
So is Clemson the best team you guys have seen, or is it Alabama?
Clemson's performance today is the best performance I've seen this year.
I would agree, Greg. I think it's the most consistent, and nobody's flawless, but it's maybe as clean of a performance as we've seen outside of the missed field goal and the one long kick return. Everything else has been about as you'd chalk it up.
And Deshaun Watson is what drives this team. His performance today, he was 13 of 16. Of those 3 incompletions, he had 1 drop by Mike Williams. He had a throwaway early in the first quarter. And then after he bruised his shoulder, he attempted 1 pass that kind of died on him. So he had 3 incompletions, only 1 of which would I really chalk up as a true incompletion.
And coming into the game is Sean McLean. Now again, Sean doesn't play a whole lot, but getting some action in this game on Military Appreciation Day, a member of the Air Force ROTC here at Clemson. He is trying to go to the Air Force once he's done with college. Let's see if they throw it to him. They do. McLean couldn't hang on to the ball, though. It was all set up for you, lad.
Oh, man.
We told the story. We built you up. Let's see if he gets another chance.
Oh, I got to feed him again.
Way to go, Dave.
You jinxed him, Dave.
And a new quarterback in for Clemson, Tucker Israel. The 4th quarterback we've seen is a redshirt freshman for the Tigers. Throws here complete, and there is McLean getting the grab. So he bounces back with the catch, gaining 3 yards on the play, and gets an ovation from the crowd here at Clemson.
What an impressive young man. Obviously making a point to get the ball into his hands, and Dabo Swinney all smiles. He knows how hard that young man's worked. You feed him again, Dave?
It's 54-0. Why not? Give him as many touches as you can here. As Israel going to hand it off there to Feaster. I guess mission accomplished for Dabo Swinney. Got his guy a catch. And with the score 54-0, doesn't want to rub it into Dino Babers or anything, so just runs the ball on 3rd and long, and now they'll punt it away. It's great to see Sean make that play there. Just his efforts in the community, off the field. I know that's something Dabo greatly appreciates. He was talking with us about that yesterday.
Dabo Swinney, I would imagine, sees a lot of himself in Mac Lane. Dabo Swinney, obviously a former walk-on wide receiver at Alabama, worked really hard and deserves all the success he's gotten.
It'll be Syracuse ball. Our Heismanology through week 9, Lamar Jackson, Jabril Peppers, Watson, Browning, the top 4. And the fact that Lamar Jackson has 91% of the first place votes leads you to believe that, disaster has to strike for him not to win the Heisman at this point.
Likely, and he has a couple of big opportunities left on his schedule, most notably against Houston. And I know Houston's not what we thought they were. Jabril Peppers, of course, has that opportunity against Ohio State and in a primetime environment next week on the road. Deshaun Watson, the unfortunate thing for him at this point is it seems like the Heisman has been built around moments. Big games, big performances, mostly in November. Remember Derrick Henry, not even talked about until they beat LSU in the first Saturday of November, and he had a huge game and then followed it up with 90 carries over 2 performances against Auburn and then Florida in the SEC championship game. I'm not sure Clemson's schedule will allow Deshaun Watson the performance necessary to garner more first-place attention.
Let's go to the studio.
Thanks, Dave. Number 18, Oklahoma State, trailing 37-35, but Chris Carson's 17-yard run gives them the lead. They got the 2-point conversion, so it's 43-37 with about 1:30 to play. Coming up later on ABC, top 10 matchup in the Big Ten, number 6 Ohio State hosting number 10 Nebraska, 8 Eastern on ABC. Dave, Greg, back to you.
Always great energy from Cassidy. I wonder if she slept at all. She did Derrick Rose's return last night. And covering that game for ESPN, and now she's in the studio for ABC. Last time Syracuse was shut out was 3 years ago, and there are people coming into this game that thought that they would challenge Clemson, but when Eric Dungey went out early in the game with an injury, the Orange just lost any kind of momentum they had from the previous 2 games where they beat Virginia Tech and beat Boston College.
And the days will be brighter for Syracuse. Dino Babers, first-year head coach. He knows that at this point, matching up against a team like Clemson with their depth and talent and leadership and culture, today was going to be a very tall order.
Just talking with a lot of people around the program, they are bullish on Dino Babers and the future of Syracuse football.
And they should be. Remember the video that went viral? Him in the locker room after the Virginia Tech win. The response that he got from a group of players, few of which he recruited. This team loves their head coach. And I would expect in the future, if they can get some quality players on campus, he'll do a really nice job with the Orange program.
Israel wrapped up. Clemson will have to snap it one more time. But the Tigers are going to win their 21st straight home game. That's the longest active home win streak in the country. They'll win their 14th straight regular season ACC game. Their 23rd straight regular season game overall. Feaster brought down, first down. We'll stop the clock for a moment. This will be 44 consecutive wins against unranked teams. And a very impressive win against a team that was playing well coming in, and that Dabo Swinney labeled as dangerous. And when we talked with him yesterday, you could tell he meant it when he said it. There was great respect for what Syracuse had done the last couple of weeks, but Clemson was just too much today in all 3 phases. Our final score from Death Valley, South Carolina, 54-0. Clemson over Syracuse. For Greg McElroy, Tom Luganville, I'm Dave Pash. So long from Clemson. Now back to the studio.